Hello, and welcome back to the Life Burst Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Tiffany. Welcome back to the Life Burst Podcast, a Wixoss podcast that talks about all the Wixoss things and only the Wixoss things.
Well, Tiffany, it's been a while since I've seen you last.
Since you've seen me.
I've seen you last.
Have your eyes been closed this whole time?
We only see each other when we do the podcast.
Right. We only exist in this little pocket dimension at the same time when we're doing the podcast.
I can't wait till GP Vegas when we'll become real people for a change.
Yes, we have been gone for a while. We appreciate your selector patience while we've been away. We have had some family come and visit us, and normally when family comes to visit us, we don't podcast because that's a little weird to just tell our guests to wait for an hour when we talk about card stuff. But it was nice having some family in town. And outside of that, we have just been playtesting like crazy because the GP's in 2 weeks. Oh my god.
Hey,
I'm so excited.
I just found out we have to loop the video that I played.
Oh, okay.
So it's looped now.
Okay, now
guys, we're trying something new. This is a lot more live than we normally do it. I don't want to edit anymore, so we're just recording everything live in the moment.
So hope you guys enjoy.
It does give an update now. Occasionally, we will be able to pop up cards on the screen for a change.
Ooh.
But if you hear the fan in the background, I'll figure it out next time around.
Guys, just pray for my laptop, okay? It's trying its best. It's very good. It's what we've got.
It's you want 4K, you want to play a 4K video, you want to record quality audio, and you're asking me to put up card names? I don't know.
And put it all together. And,
Yeah,
in real time. Yeah, we're asking a lot, but we hope you selectors enjoy it as well. Andrew.
Yeah.
How has your Wixoss weeks been?
Weeks been plural. I know. It's been a while since we've been here, guys.
Yeah.
We have been testing so much that we just have not even been able to podcast because it's we're still looking for stuff and we didn't really have any good content enough to talk to you guys about.
Yeah, we've really just been experimenting on our own and testing each other and talking to other selectors online and stuff
what they're
like
doing.
that.
We've been doing a lot of the proxy tournaments that people have done. And, kind of one of the things with proxy tournaments is that people are trying out some tech, but with the understanding that it's not going to be broadcasted, so we didn't really want to broadcast.
Yeah, so we're not going to broadcast that. We hope you guys understand. I'm sure many of you will, because a lot of you that we played against listen to the podcast.
Yeah. So we'll talk about stuff in broad terms.
Yes.
For this one, but the Wixoss weeks have been honestly tiring more than anything else. Like 3-ish games a day for 3 weeks, makes you cranky at some point.
Yeah.
And we for my end of the world, Tiffany, I was testing lots of different types of decks. That's my beginning part of my prep is just to test every single deck under the sun.
Yeah.
Play it against other decks, kind of record how I feel, 50%, 60%, 40% win rate, whatever. And then come out with that data and then look at it, a little scientifically on the flip end. Although I did learn from you, and I am narrowed down on one deck, and I am
nice.
I am practicing it now.
Yep.
And we've both you and I have settled on 2 different decks.
We have.
We agreed to 2 different things instead of we did for a little while think we would be on the same deck, but we weren't.
Yeah, we're not.
But it's also because we're just different players. But yeah, that's been my Wixoss week. Lots and lots and lots of testing almost every archetype you can possibly think of, plus a bunch of brews.
Yeah. Mine's been a little different. I have settled on the deck that I will be taking to the GP, and I have been playing that extensively to try and get as used to it as possible. And I will say that I feel pretty comfortable in it now. And yeah, that's kind of all I have. That's such a boring response, but it really has been when Olympians are training for the Olympics and that's kind of all they do.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's, not to say that we're Olympians or that we're amazing or whatever, but we have been training really hard and it's been taking up a majority of our everything, of all of our brain power, all of our extracurriculars.
Yeah, I feel bad when my friends are what'd you do this weekend? And I'm I played Wixoss.
Yeah, we played Wixoss.
And they were oh, a tournament. And you're Not
No.
really. No, I just played Wheatcross.
We just played a bunch of Wheatcross and did laundry.
We do some random stuff for locals, and then for the online tournaments we do some stuff that we want to test, like these proxy tournaments. I haven't been getting great placements in them because I've just been like testing wild theories and seeing what comes from them, right?
Yeah.
Because the idea with those was like, if I throw something very strange together and I try something that's like a weird thought process, then if I do 5 different random things, but one of the things works out well, then that's going to stick out in my brain. So I get to try 5 things at once instead of trying one thing, seeing what the result is, the next thing, etc.
Yeah.
But we just did the Card Garden tournament.
We did that today.
Yeah, and you did well in it.
I did. I actually got second place.
Yeah.
Which I'm very proud of. Like, my win-loss ratio was pretty good. What did I do?
Technically 3-1.
3-1. That's what I did, which is pretty good for me.
And then I got first place. But I lost to you. That was one of my losses. Was you earlier before the grudge match.
Before the grudge match, yeah. You won the first time we played. Or no. I won the first time we played against each other, and then you won the second.
And the second time was pretty tight as well. Like
it was.
You got really close.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you know.
So it was a good Wheatcross weeks.
It has been a good Wheatcross weeks.
We did also do a boss rush.
We did.
For you. Since you settled on your deck, we one of the things we're also practicing, I know this is crazy, one of the things we're also practicing is how to do 7 rounds of Wheatcross in a row.
We've been working on our card game stamina, because as many of you selectors will know, outside of Wheatcross, just like playing multiple rounds of a card game like in a row is extremely mentally exhausting, especially if you're not used to it. So I would say that on average, the Wheatcross rounds are like 3 to 4 rounds, like maybe 5 if you've got like a lot of players. But for the GP, it's going to be 7 rounds back to back with a small break, I think, for like lunch and deck checks. Yeah. So that's a lot.
Top 8 is best of 3.
Best of 3.
Which is crazy. And best of 3, and it has no time limit. So arguably those rounds are going to go to like almost 2 hours each, which is crazy.
God, I hope not.
Well, let's think about it, right? Like if it's one of those long games, all right, that's 40 minutes, right? Probably 40 minutes. If it goes to 3 games, that's going to be 40 minutes times 3. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
They made some choices.
Yeah, they did. Well, we will hold our opinions on the actual tournament until after it happens. Yeah. But so it's going to be a really, really, really long, draining day. So we decided to do, what did you call it? A
boss rush.
Boss rush.
Yeah, it comes from video games where you're like, you play one, like you're like, I beat this boss, then I beat this boss, and then I beat this boss. But it's like an open world, and then at the end, it's like in order to play the big boss, you've got to now beat all of those bosses again, but one after another.
Right. So we did that. We basically did 7 rounds, literally back to back, and we had a timer on, so we were doing it according
30
to
minutes.
We did 30 minutes round. And that's what I mean when I'm like, we've been in training, like we're sports training essentially. That's what we've been up to. That was really hard. I had like a migraine after.
Yeah, and arguably it will be that's easier than going to the GP, because then you got travel. Randomness, random, like, I only put, like, I get super nervous at every event that I'm at, and you'll have to deal with that, meeting people, all that junk. You did seem to really we played music during it. That seemed to help focus you in. Yeah,
I actually wasn't expecting that. We were actually using one of the round timers that you can find on this channel. Which one is it?
I think it was the Dark Ambience one, the one that was like...
it's from like the original... It's from the original like Wheatcross series, or it's inspired by the original Wheatcross series. That's the round timer that we used, and that one has like really edgy kind of...
Trance music.
Electric music in it. And I do think that helped me a little bit, so I'm not sure if it's something I'm going to take with me to the GP, like if I might make like a Wheatcross playlist for myself. And like have some background music while I play.
People do it. Like, I'm not one of those people, and I always thought it was strange when I saw people who were like very much like, I'm going to wear my hoodie and I'm going to wear my headphones and I'm playing against you, but I'm going to be in my zone and blah, blah, blah. I always thought it was actually kind of offensive to play
like
players like that.
Rude.
A little rude. But after seeing you do it and kind of how sometimes you get overwhelmed by the game too, like, I get it now. It's just like, it's just a methodology of focusing in on the game.
Yeah, it's very like, it's almost like meditative,
Yeah.
I would say. Because for me, again, I don't know, this is kind of the first time I've experienced this. For me, the music helped to quiet down all the background thoughts. So all of my like conscious attention span was being focused in on the game. And then all of my subconscious was just being like, it was already occupied with the music. So it helped me to focus more. Let us know in the comments section down below if you guys like to listen to music while you play games, or if you don't, like, just let me know your tips down below because I'm very curious.
Yeah, on the flip end, I probably talk too much. People probably want me to shut up because I probably break too many people's focus by just talking. I'm genuinely having a good time, but I'm also a socialite, so
yeah, you're very social.
It makes sense that I'm like, hey, good to meet you. What's your name? How do you feel? What's your favorite color? Do you like maple syrup?
So you're just gonna be like, Buddy the Elf,
what's your favorite color? How can I help you?
That's kind of true. It's kind of true. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be one of those players where, like, before the game starts, I'm gonna be like, hi, how are you, whatever, and then I'm just gonna get like laser focused. So if you come up against me, like, I promise I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just very very blinders on type person.
Dude, I will do one thing that I will openly admit. If you find rude, sure, whatever, I'm fine with it.
Oh,
I'm going to keep track of time for people's turns because we've got so little time.
Yes.
And by the way, I have yet to see an Esper deck not go to time. I swear, I'm not going to do a double loss. And if it means that I have to keep track of, like, my opponent's, like, time, and, like, if 2 minutes go by, I'm gonna call a judge, like, on a turn. I don't mind. Like, I know that that's kind of a dick thing to do, but it's just necessary with this 40-minute timer that we have with no overtime, and then it's just
double
immediate
loss.
double loss.
Yeah, it's so harsh. I really hope, I can't imagine that they wouldn't, but I really hope that they have just like a gigantic round timer that's like visible wherever we might be sitting.
I think I'm just gonna have my phone out and like have a timer going, like not necessarily a round timer, but like just a timer,
like an interval timer,
showing the 40 minutes and be like, we are at 10 minutes.
You take a chess clock with you and just like.
Yeah, but then I can't make my opponent click the chess clock. I would have to click for him, and I'm not going to do that.
That's a little much.
Him or her. Sorry, I was being sexist.
Them. The other selector.
The other selector. So yeah, I don't know. That's something I think I'm willing to do.
That's our hot take.
But
we're really excited to see you guys, by the way.
We will be there. We will be giving out tokens.
We discussed this on some previous podcasts.
Yes. So again, the way it goes is there's tokens for just meeting us and saying, I want one of those tokens, and I'll give it to you.
Yep.
And then there's tokens for
if you play against
us. We'll give them to you, probably win or loss. We won't make you earn them.
Can you imagine? That would be so mean.
Like, I beat you and you don't get this token.
Oh my goodness, that is not our style.
We printed it enough to just hand out to anyone who plays us. And then if you show on your phone that you're subscribed to our channel, I'll give you another one. I'll give you another one, different one.
You can collect the whole set.
You can collect a whole set of 3. Actually, it's 4 because it's two of us, 4 of them.
I think we showed them off in our previous Versus video.
Oh, we did.
It's one of those, so
we did.
You can check those out.
So, Tiffany.
Andrew.
So there was a comment that asked about prepping a day bag, and you love day bags. What are you planning to put to your GP day bag?
I love day bags. I don't know if I would say that. It's a valid question, though. Quite frankly, and I do want to get into it today, because I actually think that it is important to talk about this. Like, not just the GP in terms of, like, the game or whatever, and, like, the decks and all that other stuff, but, like, in terms of, like, the actual event itself. Now, I'm gonna disclaimer here, I've never been to a card Grand Prix before. Like, I've never been to, like, a big tournament like this before. So I'm not entirely sure what the vibe is. So when I was thinking about what I would be bringing with me in my day bag to the GP, I went from it at an angle of, this is kind of like a convention, but it's also kind of like a sporting event. So let's get into my day bag list.
Yeah, what's in it?
I actually really appreciate
What's in the bag?
What's in the bag? All right, hold on. Let me get my little notebook. I made a list earlier before we started, just so I don't get off track. I'm just going to get, like, the really obvious ones out of the way. Deck box with my deck in it.
That's true.
Play mat. And then my Dyson tokens that I want to bring.
Yeah, I think as far as deck box goes, Tiffany and I, we're both going to have a literal deck box with our deck in it.
Yes.
But the professor came out with a pretty big deck, like a not a big, but it is like...
Who's the professor?
Professor of Community College, Tolarian Community
Tolarian Community College.
Magic the Gathering.
Yes, he came out with his own deck box that we backed on Kickstarter.
Yes, and it was it's pretty good. It basically can fit 2 Wixoss decks and a couple other things. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna be bringing that as a thing, so that way we can have all of our stuff in one bag without being too bulky.
Yeah.
So that's and then we're gonna have our deck boxes in those things, so that way you can just, and we can separate.
Mine's special.
Yeah, all right. What's yours special?
I don't know if I've talked about this before. I think I have.
Oh, you're bringing the egg.
I am.
Okay.
For my Christmas present, Andrew ordered me a custom 3D printed deck box that is a replica of the angelic layer angel egg. It is one of my most favorite things that I own, and I'm going to be bringing it with me to the GP. I'm so excited about it. Like, I'm really excited. So that's going to be with me. You're going to have your deck box, which, by the way, we're not, like, obviously not sponsored by the professor, but his deck box is particularly good.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with the quality of that. But yeah, like, other than that, like, Dyson tokens, we keep all of the little, like, Wixoss, like, the teeny tiny, like, frozen plus 5,000 assassin, whatever, like, token counter things that come with deck boxes. And we find them super helpful. So we'll probably be bringing a couple of those, the ones that are relevant to our decks as well. And then
like, I'm probably gonna bring frozen, even though I'm not necessarily gonna freeze things. Like, I would be good to have.
Yeah, I agree, because you also never know what you're gonna go up against, and as you selectors know, Wixoss can get terribly complicated sometimes. It's nice to have those, like, visual reminders of, like, what's going on. And I also have a little box. Oh, there's the Wixoss train.
Hello, Wixoss train.
And I also have a little box of red and green dice that I use as, like, plus and minus counters, or just, like, ability, like, markers or whatever. And I've found those to be incredibly helpful for me personally.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the obvious ones. And then we'll bring our playmats. I have not decided which playmats I'm going to bring. I'm pretty sure it's our Life Burst podcast ones.
Probably. Gotta get that branding out there.
Well, I got some Lucky Yuki ones, and they're really nice. Like, those of you that have the Lucky Yuki playmats, like, if you know, you know. They're really, really nice. That's all the obvious stuff, though. Am I missing anything?
No. That's the play stuff, the bare minimum play stuff.
That's the bare minimum.
I would say sleeves, you probably want to buy.
Oh, yeah.
We both have bought a Eclipse Ultra Pro sleeves, pack of sleeves for our deck, which we are not going to open and not sleeve until the day of, because we just want to avoid marked cards completely.
Actually, yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So by the way, guys, it's now in the rules here. You can't bring level 0s that are non-English or proxies.
Yeah.
So you guys know. And to further that, your sleeves, your Elrig deck doesn't have to match your main deck, but your Elrig deck needs to be 100% the same sleeves.
Yeah.
You can't do, like, 2 different ones for your center or whatever. They all need to match.
Yeah.
And so we do. I like Ultra Pro Eclipse. I personally just I guess gloss is fine. I like matte personally.
Yeah, you're a matte person.
But I picked gloss because this game has a lot of shiny foils in it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I actually prefer the gloss ones as well for that reason. Like, I actually find matte sleeves kind of hard to read, especially if your card is like foiled, because then it makes it all like diffusey and like fuzzy and weird.
Yeah.
So I would much prefer to have glossy sleeves. Plus, I think that they shuffle a little better, but that's just my opinion.
Your shuffle take.
Yeah, that's my shuffle take. It's all about preference with that.
But there's a whole thing where you can get called for marked sleeves if you've got split sleeves. Like, if you have 40 cards and you end up with a split sleeve and you don't have anything to replace it with, there's going to be a vendor on site, so theoretically you can go quickly buy some new sleeves, but you can get a round loss for it.
Yeah.
For not being able to do that correctly.
Yeah. So we're bringing some like fresh unopened sleeves with us that we're just going to sleeve up when we get there.
Yeah, I've just
like
been
on
burned
the day.
in the past before at GPs by not bringing a fresh pack.
That's actually a good idea. I've added it to the list. So that's kind of all the stuff that's like the basics for what would you bring to a card tournament? Your deck. Like, it's a little obvious. For other stuff that I have put down, though, this is kind of more along the lines of, like, how to take care of yourself at a convention.
Absolutely.
Number 1, water in a refillable bottle.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. Not Monster Energy drinks, not Gatorade, not coffee, water. Just just a bottle of water, because it's super important to stay hydrated. It's going to help you maintain your focus. It's going to help keep you cool or warm. I don't know. Sometimes people like, lukewarm water, which is fine. But like water is, it's essential. And again, like, I'm kind of looking at this like it's an athletic event. And what would you want to have at an athletic event? Water.
Yeah, I mean,
especially in Vegas. My God.
If I was gonna pick something else other than water, it would probably be like Gatorade, like the
electrolytes.
Something with a little bit of like sugar and a little bit of salt too, to help you get. I'm not saying soda, by the way, to be clear here. I'm saying something that's like helps perk you up for the long haul, but will not give you a sugar crash.
Yeah.
And is probably mostly water.
Yeah. Well, that actually brings me to my next thing, which is snacks. Like, having like I really like the teeny tiny like granola bars, or like if you just have like a baggie of cereal, which I've done before, like just something to make sure that you're not getting super low blood sugar, that you're not being distracted on like an empty stomach or whatever, something that's going to help your metabolism like kind of keep going. Plus this study came out like 20 years ago. It was something like chewing gum helps you focus on tests or whatever. It's probably totally debunked.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like a stress reliever. So like in between rounds, if you want to like take a bite of something and just, whatever, snacks are always good. It's just a good idea.
And I would one, not do messy snacks because, fingers and touching cards and stuff. But the second one is I would also do quick snacks like chips are annoying because they can't be stored easily, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, like, pretzels in, like, a Ziploc bag are not awful because you can just, like, eat 2 and then be like, oh, well, my round's starting, and then go to the next round.
That's why I really like those, like, little granola bars that are, like, the fun-sized ones.
I also have a hard time eating, like, actual meals during events because I'm on such panic mode.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. You can get like anxiety. And what happens when you have like nervousness or anxiety or whatever is your stomach acid actually goes into overdrive. This is like the science part of the podcast. Your stomach acid keeps building up, and that's what starts making you feel sick. So if you have snacks with you, it will give your stomach acid something to eat that is not you. And then you get the added benefit of having whatever, like, hopefully you pick a nutritious snack, and then those can go into your bloodstream, and that will actually help a lot.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Speaking of sticky hands, hand sanitizer. I'm bringing hand sanitizer.
That's a good choice, actually.
There's going to be a lot of, like, shaking hands and touching other people's cards and touching your cards.
I will openly admit that when I get like stressed, I don't sweat anywhere but my hands.
Yeah,
my
hands are gonna get
just
sweaty.
A waterfall.
You know, it's just a good idea to have hand sanitizer. And this is also something that I take with me to like conventions as well. Like wherever there's a lot of people, it's just a good idea. And especially with events that have happened in recent past years, you might want to be a little bit more careful about it. You know, just it's a good practice. Let's see, what else? For me personally, I'm going to be bringing my notebook and pen. Mm-hmm. So if you are a longtime listener of this podcast, you will know that Tiffany likes to take notes after each round because it helps me to like retain what happened during the game.
It also helps you decompress.
And it helps me decompress. Yeah, it's just like a good idea. Also, it's just always a good idea to have like pencil and paper on you. I'm going to be bringing a blank notebook. I'm not going to be bringing like a cheat sheet to like the tournament or whatever. It's going to be a blank notebook with a pen so that I can take notes like after each round. Mm-hmm. Plus, then I'll have a record to come back on the podcast and talk about my thing.
And as far as that goes too, I don't know if we're allowed to necessarily bring a cheat sheet, but I do think it's okay between rounds specifically if you want to have a little primer that you've written for yourself to review. Like I do that where I'll be like, I'm taking this big deck to the event. All right. It's red aggro, right? And then I'll be like, okay, so against the Esper deck, I need to focus on going a little bit longer games. So my kill is on turn 4 rather than turn 3, and I'm also looking to enter burn them at least once, and I need to guard 0 times, during this game. So I might write those notes down, review them a little bit, be like, okay, these are the important ports for the different archetypes I'm going to run into. Okay, run into this archetype. Okay, now I remember what to do because I read it earlier.
Yes.
Just something that's what I do to sort of like focus down.
Yeah. I always think it's helpful. I've also seen like a lot of people do this for like different card games and different tournaments. They'll have like a little sticky pad or something next to them. Of course, it's always good to check with the head judge before you do anything at a tournament you're unsure about. So I will be checking with them to make sure that it's fine that I even have like my notebook with me. But it is something that I want to keep on me, mostly so I can just write down the things that I learned, and so that I have a fresh memory when I come back to share it with you fellow selectors. Let's see.
I won't be doing that, so if you tell me what your name is, and I go into it, I'm like, round 3 I played, I don't know, some kind of Tama deck.
The last 2 things I have in here, they're a little bit more of like givens, is my phone charger. Obviously, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
So you'll probably want to have either like a power bank on you or like a plug-in charger, like something like that. And then the last thing that I have are fresh face masks. Because again, with recent events that have happened in the past couple years.
Dude, not even COVID. The con crud is real,
Con crud is so real. I know you fellow selectors have been to conventions before and have gotten sick just because there's other people around you. And for me personally, I would like to have some fresh, unworn face masks with me.
Yep.
Just for a little bit of extra protection if I feel like it. And that's gonna be what's in my day bag.
I'll say one other thing that I start my ritual. It's not in my day bag, but it's prior to the day bag.
Okay.
I drink a glass of orange juice because of, I don't know, vitamins and stuff, I guess. But also, I don't like orange juice, so it wakes me up.
That's terrible.
It's like something I do to be like, all right, wake up. Ugh,
that's
okay,
your
Chris, let's go.
That's your pre-game ritual?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Something about the citric acid I don't like.
I don't think I have a pre-game ritual.
I think I'm a dog.
What?
I'm just a dog who doesn't like citric acid.
Well, don't drink it then. That's like super bad for you. Selectors, let us know if you have any pregame rituals or what you're going to be taking in your day bag in the comments section down below. I'm very curious because everyone's kind of got their own sort of like thing that they like to do. Oh, the last thing that I have on this actually is the last thing. Sorry, I lied. Bluetooth headphones, because I am not sure if I want to add a Wixoss playlist into how I play my games. Again, that's something else that I'm going to have to ask the judges about and be like, hey, can I just like listen to music while I play? I'm sure it's not an issue, but you never know.
I don't think there's anything necessarily in the rules that state it.
That, yeah,
I think
but,
you
know.
need to be at least able to communicate with your opponent, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to like go full like sensory deprivation. That's not super great. Yeah. But yeah, I think it might be something that I'd consider, just to have that sort of like, you know,
even
music
focus
in
down
the
between
background,
rounds.
focus down in between backgrounds, decompress, like that sort of thing. But yeah, that's everything that's going to be in my day bag.
Cool. Well, let's talk about let's just talk about stuff, right? Like we've been testing a ton.
Stuff?
So there's a lot of stuff. Like, it's the funny thing is, like, I know you and I, we could be like, what's been working, what hasn't been working, and you'd be like, well, there's everything that we do normally, and then we just forgotten that, like, we've just tested more than anyone else right now. Therefore, what we do, what we've considered normal, crazy stuff is like probably new to everyone
right?
Because we've been testing with 0-9 cards. Those don't even exist yet in English.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of stuff randomly to talk about.
We've been printing out a lot of proxies.
It's true. We've been trying out different decks, like the Carnival deck, for example. And some just other stuff too. Mel, for example. Been testing Mel for a while now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really exist yet. So let's just talk about like how we feel about certain things. And I'll start.
Yeah, you can start.
So the Dashirana deck, I played in the beginning. It was like not that good, and then I got my ass handed to me a couple times with it, and I was like, okay, it's real. It's real. I belittled it in my mind, and I was wrong and unprepared, and now I felt the damage for it. And what's worse for it is not only is it a real deck, but it's not that hard to pilot. So I bet you there's a fair amount of people who are considering bringing it just because they're like, I play Wixoss off and on. I don't want to mess up. I want to take a pretty good tier 1 deck to the top tables. I'm going to bring Dashirana.
Sure.
And to those people, yep, you can.
Fair play.
You can. Like, it has been shown that not even like the best decks in the format, the tier 1 decks, can beat it. Like, it is usually a 50-50 match.
It's pretty brutal.
But like, for example, you do end up, the deck you don't necessarily pilot the deck as much as the deck pilots you. That you basically are running through the motions. There's like 2 or 3 decision points that you might need to make in a game, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So there are some times you'll just lose, right? Like, if your opponent just life burst stops damage like enough, you will lose that game as the Hirana, the Dash Hirana player. However, life burst has been 50-50, and some people are running things like GAs instead of down 2. Like, no one's running Folklores anymore.
Oh yeah.
People are barely running Akufukus.
Those people are wrong.
I know you love yourself an Akufuku.
Listen, all I'm saying is that a life burst Akufuku never feels bad, and getting hit by a life burst Akufuku always feels bad. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Folklore's the same, although I still like Akufuku more.
I'll say that Dash Hirana, real thing you should probably just at least be aware exists if you're not running it, and what you can do to prevent it. I don't know, it's tough, right? Like, you can I can confidently say a 3-stop plus a 1-stop, the normal thing that we do to beat aggro, plus get some guards back, doesn't always get you there against Dashirana. You still lose a couple times to that.
Yeah, but it's not impossible to play against. You do have to be aware of it, though.
No, you definitely need to respect it the whole time. Like, the whole time you need to be like...
Respect the dash.
Yeah, the whole time you need to be like, if I don't do all of the things to defend myself, I have no chance of winning. I will just lose. So, there's those. There is a lot of other stuff too that people have been playing. There's green stuff has actually been pretty good.
We have seen Mel get tossed around a bit, and personally, I've played Mel a lot and I like it. Yeah. But that's because I like green decks. I like how they operate. But the what is it called? Accessories? I was going to say abilities.
Accessories.
But the accessories that Mel runs in particular are like very evenly like distributed in terms of defense and offense, and like general like disruption. So Mel is like a really it feels like a stable center, depending on how you build the deck with her.
I'll give this free tip to anyone who wants it. Once we've tested Mel a bunch, you need to put a fair amount of Enter Charge into the main deck. Not necessarily the Elrig deck, but the main deck needs it.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to pay out these expensive assists. Probably Energy Door, which does cost 3. You can get rebated at the end, but
rebate.
You can get rebated at the end because it'll Enter Charge you too, basically. And then you also have to pay for the accessories themselves.
Yeah, but I will say that I like it personally because I really like stable green centers. Like that.
I mean, like, it does a lot. Like, so I was testing a lot of atoms as well, and like, one of the things that I found kind of annoying with atoms is that all of the souls open lanes, which sounds weird to say that's annoying, but sometimes you want the souls to do like something else, right?
Yeah.
X at least has kind of that functionality to it, where like it's not the lane opening that's my problem. It's the fact that they've got a machina on the other side that can kill this, right?
Yeah.
But Mel has something that's like, yeah, you can't get rid of this, or has something like, yeah, I'll give it plus 10,000 power, which seems like it's not good until you slap it on a Phalaris.
Yeah.
And then Phalaris suddenly is like milling 30 cards over the course of 3 turns.
Yeah,
because like, how do you get rid of a 22,000 power Phalaris?
You can't Machina slash it, that's for sure.
You're looking at your like Madoka clap, and you're like, okay, I could down it for a turn, I guess. That doesn't solve the problem, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta, like, gay bulk it. You can't remember it, you know, away. There's, like, there's a couple things, like, that vanish, like, just flat-out vanish. You can bounce it, you know, and that bouncing's good against those accessories.
Well, some of them.
But, you know, how much Akino, how many times can you Akino? The answer's 1, you know?
Yeah.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, you know?
Yep.
So, and then that's the flip end, right? Like, okay, so you've got the Akino to stop the Phalaris that's 22k. Cool. All right, cool. The person won't attach that. They'll attach the one that says if it would leave the field instead.
It doesn't.
Exclude the accessory, and you're like, well, guess I'm not stopping it.
Yeah, it basically turns into like a really annoying H2O.
It just Mel has the ability with its accessories to basically always have the right answer when the situation calls for it. And that makes it really annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, just as any deck, right? And the fact that you can build it with, like, white and black to recur problem cards, and then also you can, like, play Energy Door, which basically helps you survive for longer. It's just, if you build Mel as an attrition deck, you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, playing with it and playing against it, I would agree with those. Let's see. I did play against a Carnival deck.
Yeah.
And Carnival's a little scary. Like, not impossible to defeat. No. Definitely not. But if you're not used to going up against Carnival, you might want to, like, reread that center a bit. Because in the same way that Mel has her accessories to kind of give you whatever answer you might need in the moment, Carnival also does that. Because it's, what is it? It's, like, Enter Charge, Trash a Signy, or Draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can give her, like, one of 3 abilities when she attacks.
Yeah.
So that, like, trash target Signy when this Lyrig attacks is, like, a Gaybolg.
Yeah.
And, like, you just pay 1 for a Gaybolg every turn? Like, that's a little, you know, how do you deal with that?
Its other ability is it vanillas to Signy on the opponent's field and shrinks them to 2,000.
That's its once a game, yeah.
Helps with red. Red can vanish 2,000s, right? But the card that whenever I think about that, like vanillaing something, it's Yuki, right?
It's usually Yuki.
And Yuki's a white card. And then when you think about what you said the other time, trashing a Signy on attack, that's also a white card. The crazy thing about Carnival is it's like a white center. It does
it's red.
All of the white things, but it's red.
But it's red.
So what that gives you, which is strange about it, is it doesn't need to run white to get its white effects that it wants. But it's red, so it can run red, right? So normally when you look at these white defensive decks that do those things, that are going to do those things, like white-blue, right, is what we're talking about, you think, yeah, it's good, though, because they're not really going to be able to to open my lanes at all. But they're red, so they're going to open
so
up
they
your
might.
lanes. They might. They very well can open up your lanes. So a blue-red tempo version of that, right? It's basically a blue-red tempo version of Aya is terrifying.
Aya's terrifying enough. Aya is so, like, sniper discard, it's crazy.
Yeah, so there's definitely ways to deal with Carnival for sure. But you what you really need to be doing is like not looking at it as a red center, but looking at it as a white center that has access to red.
Yeah.
And that'll like put you in the right mindset.
That'll put you in the right mindset. All this being said, we did put out our 3-part series on what we think will be the most probably what you're most likely to see in the GP, and you can check out those videos on our channel.
Yeah, with that being said too, like we also stated that the bulk of what you're going to be playing against is some random stuff.
Yes.
That's probably why it's best to not think about centers and instead think about archetypes.
Yes.
Right? And because inevitably, it really doesn't matter if you're playing Hirana, if you're playing against Lion, or you're playing against X. It's various red aggro archetypes, so you need to know what those red aggro archetypes do. Yuzuki, another one.
Like, it's good to be familiar with certain centers, for sure, just because they do have abilities that will affect the game.
Yeah.
But I couldn't agree with you more. I think that looking at archetypes and, like, deck constructions or deck themes is probably a better way to go about this. Because the next point that I was going to get to is, you're right, like, there's going to be a lot of variety at this GP. I mean, there's 128 players or something like that.
There's 75 current level 3 Elrigs that you can play.
Right. So just going off of that alone, like, everybody could play a different Larig, like, and you would not run into the same deck twice.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
Yeah. And there's other decks that just take a slight departure on the archetype, right? Like, so let's talk about the Esper archetype a little bit right now. There's basically 3 different Elrigs that you can run, 4 different Elrigs you can really run right now, and they do a good job, right? Tom is one of them. I think that's the one that everyone knows about. Deus is another one that I think less people are willing to run, but there's some good builds out there when you do a Deus center.
You get access to souls. It's
Yeah.
a pretty stable center.
And then there are a lot of different blue ones that you can run, right? So you can run, I've seen people run Tamago. I've seen people run Madoka. I've seen people run even Umir.
I have seen people run Umir.
That. I've seen people run Aya as a Esper build.
Ooh.
I don't know if that's great.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that choice, but
it does a similar job. It's like somewhere between Madoka and Tamago, where it discards your opponents but also can open up a lane, where Tamago can't open up a lane, and Madoka needs main deck support to go into its discards. So it's super interesting how that works. Like, for example, a lot of the Deus or Tama decks, they're going to run, pretty much all of your Esper decks are running Super Celestia Saber. I guess I can pull up Super Celestia Saber here on the thing.
That costs 2, correct?
Yeah.
It's cost 2. It's the one with the Ninji Sanji Larigs on it.
Oh yeah, that's Super Celestia Saber. I meant Ultra Superheroes.
Ultra Superheroes. That one only costs 1. Right?
So yeah, that one only costs 1. But it mills 10. I gotta find it real quick. Sorry, give me a second. I can't do typing and talking at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those special, like, Dream Team pieces where, like, you have to have the color of the card. I think the card itself is blue. And then you can either have red and black and green, and it does different abilities. Is that right? Or maybe it's white.
Haha, worked. Did it. It's on the screen now.
Ooh. Why don't you read it to us?
Well, it's basically, I don't need to read it. It's gonna be a level 1. It's you pay 1, you can mill the opponent 10, and then you'll be able to look at the top 5, pick your best 2.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times Tama or even Tamago, these types of decks can't. You'll end the game with the opponent having 3 cards left in their deck, so it doesn't really get the full refresh. But for example, Madoka doesn't do that. Madoka has it's tried but true. We both draw a card and we both discard a card at the beginning of our attack phase, there. And that's just enough to make that difference.
And decking out still removes the life cloth.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out as like, there's still a bunch of Esper decks that are running around for sure that you'll need to be. But you know what? The Esper decks aren't actually that great against aggro. It turns out if you're a pretty good, competent aggro player, you can probably just still win the game.
Going back to the dash thing.
Yeah, exactly. So just by doing the lanes, attacking, you probably can do it. And the other thing that I'm a little scared that would make me really wary of playing Esper is it takes a long time to win.
And we have discussed at length about how the rounds are going to be short and it's going to be a long day.
Literally, I haven't seen anyone not really go to time to it. Like, it's got to be one of those things that if you're playing Esper, look, I'm just saying, if you're playing Esper and the opponent's playing Esper, you should both look at each other and just immediately say, let's not go to time. Yeah. And then keep track of each other's turns.
Yeah, double losses are no fun. They're just no fun for anybody. It's not a strategy. It's not nice. Please do your best to not go to time during GP.
Yeah. And then there's white aggro decks that are still kicking around. They're all pretty good. The white aggro strategy is pretty strong.
I mean, the white cards in general, you just have like a lot of good options.
Flashcard is a good one.
It doesn't surprise me that that's still something that people are considering taking to the GP, just because of all the card support that you have for it. Hashtag justice for green one day.
I think if you brought, I'm joking. I'm making a fart here, but I think if you bring Bang, Sanga, Sanga, whatever, both of those are pretty good green decks. But I think Mel has a real shot at topping.
I agree. Actually, I do think that out of all, if you have to have a green center, I would probably pick Mel out of the ones that are available to you.
Mel's one of those ones where I felt pretty good playing into aggro, like any aggro, including dash, because I would be like, I've got access to the way that I built it. I've got access to the guard recursion. I've got enter for anything, so you're not really going to enter starve me or enter burn me out. I'm always going to be able to do a full 3-stop because that's just how the deck functions. It's got a lot of extra enter to go around. And then it also it punches back. And so it's like, I will disrupt you just enough and then punch you. And I will win the game on turn 4 because you don't have enough defenses against me. And it does the job, man. It does the job.
Yeah. Well, that's our opinion on some of the things that we've been seeing while we've been testing. Not only each other, but a lot of other people, as well as just going over our general thoughts, as we've been playing against each other and such. So if you have any additional thoughts on decks that you've been going up against, or things that you've been trying out, please leave them in the comment section down below. Of course, you do not have to reveal your secret sauce. We understand it is GP season, so please don't feel like I'm asking you to reveal your hand, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, and I will say this. I will remind everyone, you can get a sleepy of whatever you are, as long as you're the top performing version of that L ring. So, if you take one of the less popular, if you really like Sambaka, do it. This is your chance to get the sleepy Sambaka. Oh wait, no, you can't get the sleepy Sambakas. Because I guess whatever the copyright rule is.
Oh yeah,
so,
that's right.
Okay, I replace what I said with Ancient Surprise. You can get yourself an odd sleepy if you want.
You're probably not going to see a lot of towels. If you want a sleepy towel, now is your time.
Some of those sleepies are like $100.
Yeah, they do go for a lot.
So it's not a terrible idea to walk home with I spent $30 on this ticket and I got a sleepy, so I'm happy.
Yeah,
And all you need to do is just be the best performing one of that, which I think promotes diversity. And like I said, there's enough archetype support just in the main deck that you can probably play a random center and do well with it.
Well, I am excited to see everyone at the GP. That's 2 weeks from now. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But please, if you want to know more about what we're going to be up to in the coming weeks, please make sure that you subscribe. Also, check out our community tab where we put up polls, and you can check out what we're going to be playing in our next Versus video. And as always, may you always flip a life burst.